Ooh, live.
Okay, we are live. Welcome back to Nerd Culture Class, guys. We are flying solo today, which is cool because I'm tired as shit, and yeah, we got a couple of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome everybody, and everybody that's going to watch this now, everybody's going to watch it later. Anybody that wants to come in and join us, let me get the damn link up here. Copy that to clipboard. We are slow. I am slow. I shouldn't lump Tom in with that. Paste this in there.
Well, you may be slow, but I never got started, so.
Yeah, let me mute that shit. All right. That's a lot of swearing for starting off, Bob. Anyway, okay. Welcome. Welcome to the show, guys. As usual, we have some interesting things to talk about, but we'll probably just go off on a tangent because that's kind of how we do things around here.
Us?
Yes, us. No, really? So we got a couple of news stories that I thought were interesting. Obviously, this week, a lot of crazy shit's going on because, damn, world's nuts. But, yeah, I tell you what, I really gotta stop. I really gotta stop listening to. I'm on a bunch of those news feeds, and I'm like, I gotta turn this shit off because it's the same crap over and over and over again. I'm like, someone wake me up after the election. But right off the bat, this will be a little more interesting for you, Tom, because actually, before I get on, how was your week, man?
Kind of slow. Didn't do much. This week's going to be a lot busier. I got a scrimmage tomorrow night, another one Monday night. But last week, mostly what I did was watch Critical Role and Paint.
Oh, I'm actually I'm a episode behind. I gotta catch up.
Yeah, I'm on 67 right now.
So. Oh no! That's right. You're way behind. I'm all the way caught up to them. I'm like waiting for them now.
Yeah. That's only like 80 or 90, so I'm only like
91. I think was the last episode.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I'm at work and I have that on the back. I put that on the background. I just listen to that, so I blew through that. It was like, how the hell did you listen to that many hours? I'm like, 12-hour shifts, man. You got to do something to fill it.
Yeah, but, 3 episodes. You catch up real quick doing that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there's you got there's a lot of fun stuff that you haven't got to yet.
Yeah, I'm like halfway through 67. They just got across the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Bridge.
Yeah, the bridge that was a mutated version of the thing that I threw at you guys last week. That's a gibber. That's a mouthing gibber.
Oh, okay.
A gibbering mouther. That's that bridge. What it was is
it's just over one.
Yeah, well, the one that it was over top. It was over top of like, it's like somebody fused like 1,000 of them together.
Yeah.
Because what I was doing when I was what happens is if you fail your saving throw on that thing, I roll a D8 and it's a random effect of something that happens. So that thing when you guys were fighting, that's why I was so upset that you killed it so fast. I was like, God damn!
Holy crap! It's just a bunch of eyeballs and mouths in a big amoebus form. I was just like, kill it!
No, but
I didn't even wait for initiative. I'm like, kill it!
It's a good thing that the thing you guys are fighting right now, the one the fight between the two brothers, the Crow brothers, those guys are going to be probably the first one to challenge you guys because.
Oh, it's already a challenge. I think I got not really a fix, but I know what I'm going to be doing next in the fight.
Yeah, this is going to be it's going to be a challenging fight for you guys. But yeah, because the mouth are like, well, what was it? It was who is it that dumped like a ton of freaking damage on it? It was you?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, you just boom, and just blew the thing up. I was like, dude, it's a cool monster. I want to do some cool stuff with it. But
Nope.
Yeah. Well, I can understand too, because like one of the things that it says in like its appearance is disturbing. I was like, yeah, it's freaky. But no, it's yeah, that's a good episode. That's oh wow, man, you're about to come up to like a major plot thing.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, cool, man. I'm actually behind an episode now. I gotta catch up with them. But yeah, I got some comic books to talk about today and everything. But let's go ahead and get into the first one here. Oh, go ahead.
Actually, still on the same point. Might as well keep on the same tangent while we're here. But the one of the Talks Machina. Yeah, that word that you just
Tax Maxinen. Maxi Paddens.
They were discussing about, they're like, yeah, if you really think about it, it's messed up. Some of the stuff that, when you're playing D&D and you're playing role games, role-playing games, you are pretty much into the deep end. I mean, you're doing stuff that normal people, nope.
Oh yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. And of course, like 90% of the times role-playing in quotes, people, they're for kill it. Yeah. What is it? It's money, kill it.
Yeah. So how much
T-Rex, kill it.
How much experience for the shopkeeper? Yeah, and that's something that's why I was trying to impart that on you guys as I was describing some of this stuff. I was like, remember, you can always just run. It's like there's nothing says you have to stand there and fight this thing.
Yeah. Well, there are certain times when I think it was pointed out in the game that running is an option, but getting away isn't always.
Yeah.
And
like when you guys were in that collapsing tunnel, man, there was no like you gotta get out of there.
Yeah. And there's also no usually once combat starts, there's no backing out.
Yeah, it's hard to transition out of it once you start fighting something.
Yeah, unless you actually have something that allows you to get out of the area. Because usually most monsters move the same, if not close to the same speed as the PCs. So even if you disengage, they just re-engage you.
Yeah, because speed's a major problem.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do with that is that you just you just do like full move, you just use all your actions and you just move as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Because if that happens, then usually the thing that you're fighting has to do the same thing, and eventually it's just like, why am I doing this?
Hopefully.
But no, I'm actually really excited for Thursday, man. I'm hoping that everybody can get there in time so we can actually run through some stuff, because the game's been on rails.
Mm-hmm.
At this point is when it starts kind of stopping that, and now you guys can just kind of do whatever you want, because I had to kind of set the world up for you guys.
Yeah.
But at this point now, it's like you guys are like where you're at, like you don't know where you are, you don't know what's going on. Now the world is open.
And like I said, I'm loving your game because I have never rolled so well.
Oh my God.
In my life.
Freaking hell, man.
I've had like a game session where I've done pretty good, but even like in character generation, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
It started.
I kind of want you guys to stop. I mean, I don't know I've heard more, and actually this is like Chester's game is almost as bad. I've heard more natural 20s called out than I think I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, really? Shit. Okay, well, I guess you just killed this thing that was supposed to be really terrifying, and you just like beat its head in with a hammer, man, like a baby kitten.
Oh, it's still terrifying.
But yeah, there's some creepy stuff coming for you guys though. So, and this is the whole idea of this game, and this is also where the fear and stuff is going to start creeping in.
Yeah, because nothing's been creepy so far.
Mouthers are creepy as hell, dude. But okay. All right, so first story. Let me get this screen up here. Share screen. So this actually we'll talk about that one first. So you actually went and saw 1917. I still haven't yet. I was gonna call Holly, see if she wanted to go see that tomorrow. But I saw this, and this was another one of those stories where you just kind of roll your eyes. But the GQ writer Sophia Benoit targets 1917s. Where are the stories about non-white men's lives?
Go see them.
Yeah, that was like there's one right now that you guys are all talking about that's not doing so well, which is that Little Women, and it's like go see it. It's there.
And not only that, but in 1917, there are several British colonial troops. Now, as far as I understood the British colonial system, the troops should have been segregated. So when they came across, Indian or African colonial troops,
mm-hmm.
It should have been a whole unit of them, but they're people just mixed in, which
is
if you want to be inclusive, yeah, that's nice, but that's not the way it was at the time. I mean, you could have had like a unit of Indian troops, but
right.
they've got a couple.
It's one of those things where it's do we go full on accurate and have people probably lose their minds even more, or do we try to lay it down a little bit down on the altar of progressiveness?
Which why I liked Overlord. I mean, it's a good scary movie, but I'm watching it and I'm just thinking, yeah, colored troops weren't in the 101st in World War II, and there certainly weren't any sergeants yelling at white boys. That was not going to happen.
Yeah,
it was in the movie, and it's not historically accurate. But then again, monsters living underneath a well in France isn't either. So
yeah, it's again. I think it's one of those things where they're like, look, we could either do a story that fits in the world today, or we could do a story that is 100% accurate to the time period. And nowadays, with how easily people get their feathers ruffled, they're like, yeah, we don't even want to deal with that. So I think that's why they do things like that. They're like, okay, here you go. We're just gonna let's just do our story and not worry so much about the accuracy of it. But this is actually kind of interesting because she got dragged pretty hard for this, and she actually deleted it. The original tweet. So this is actually part of the there's a big to do about the Oscars this year, because it's a lot of people are upset that there's very little diversity as far as the nominations are concerned. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's the Academy that go yell at the Academy. They're the ones that do this stuff. But anyway, the film 1917 is a World War I drama that follows two British soldiers who are tasked with delivering a message across enemy lines in an attempt to stop an attack that will kill hundreds of soldiers. I really need to see this movie.
It's good. I really enjoyed it. And like I said in the thing last week, the whole thing watching it is, the whole single shot, or however you put that, it's all one.
Yeah, how it's all like one continuous shot, or it's made to look like one continuous shot.
Right.
Benoit specifically took issue with the fact that the film was even made and questioned why this type of war film is being made when she wants movies about non-white men's lives. Let's now to be fair, the way this is being worded is a little, off the bat, it's ironic and overly ridiculous question if you look at the number of times Little Women has been adapted to both film and TV. That's actually a good point. At what point do you stop making the same damn movie over and over and over again? But then again, they've made Dracula how many times, and we never complained about that.
Well, it depends on which one.
Yeah, some of them are pretty bad.
Yeah.
In a now deleted tweet, Benoit wrote, actually, let's read the word. Let's read it in her words instead. I'm not upset that there weren't many women in the movie 1917. I effing get it that there were not very many women in the trenches. The question is, why does this story keep getting told? Well, it keeps getting told because it's World War One.
Well, not only that, but there aren't a lot of World War One movies.
There really aren't. There's a lot of World War II.
Yeah, World War II, there's a lot of.
Which
World
given
War One movies.
Yeah, which given, you know, her state of mind, I'm pretty sure she probably can't tell the difference between them. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of World War One movies.
Yeah.
Like
and not many women in the trenches. I doubt there were any women in the trenches.
No, because even like women who worked in the hospitals and as in triage and whatnot, they were way in the back. They were not anywhere near the no man's land. There's like hell no, man.
Now there are probably a couple of incidences of women, you know, disguising themselves as men and going and serving. But I mean, that's very rare.
That'd be interesting to see if there was any stories about that.
Oh, I'm sure there were. I mean,
yeah, or even women like kind of taking it in their own initiative and disguise themselves and going out like we said to provide medical aid or whatnot. I'm sure there was probably some instances of that as well, but they're so very few and far between. You know. It'd be interesting. That's an interesting thing right there. That'd be interesting to look into.
Well, and even this, like if they did because there certainly were British colonial and even French colonial troops in World War One, you know, fighting all over the place. I would love to see a movie about some of that. I mean, that would.
Yeah. I specifically, I don't even know if something like that existed. If it did exist, that would be a pretty interesting thing to talk about. But the idea of why we keep making movies like this, it's because you're talking about it is specifically, like obviously she's mixing World War II with World War One because, like you said, there haven't been a whole lot of World War One films. I can only think of 3 of them off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there's.
Are you counting Wonder Woman in that?
No.
Okay, then that's 4.
Okay. But I mean, and I'm sure there's been more than that. I mean, there's been at least, you know, probably twice that, if not more, of major films about World War One. But World War II, there's been a lot of films about World War II. But then again, these are 2 of the biggest events in human history.
And it was just the 100th anniversary. So
yeah, right. And, you know, and it's like, you know, that's why these things keep being made. So then she adds. If you think there weren't fascinating women's only or femme-dominated spaces in this world with their own stories to be told, you're delusional. No, nobody ever said that. Of course, there were stories like that, but you know, okay. In my statement about that is okay. Then go make them. You know, it's
when they come out, go see them.
Go see them. Yeah,
make the effort.
And not only that, but this idea of women only or femme dominated. If you're making a movie for only a specific, this is the thing I don't understand about this mindset. If you make a movie that is specifically made for a very small portion of people, or in this case, like she's saying, women only, you're cutting your audience in half right off the bat. Okay. So, I mean, and then if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you have to go in depth with the expectation. If they make a movie that's just 4 guys and there's nothing in it for women, which they do sometimes, they're doing this with the understanding that, okay, we're aiming at this group of people over here. All right. So we're okay with this group of people over here being the only ones who watch these movies. You know, if you make a movie that's just for women, you're making it just specifically for women. But then the problem comes into play in that where you're not just making it specifically for women, you're also making it to denigrate the other side. That's the problem with a lot of these movies that we've seen coming out, like Charlie's Angels. That's the reason why that movie failed, is because not only was it, you know, this movie was made specifically for women, which is fine because you'll do okay if that's what you're doing. But then you come out and you specifically say, you tell men, we don't want, this movie's not for you. If you say the movie's not for X group of people is not going to go see it. You know, you can't then get mad and say, how come you guys didn't go see this movie? Well, because you told us not to. You know, and that's this mindset that she's putting forward here is what doesn't make sense to me. Because like I said, she got dragged really hard on this, and she put out another one. She said, folks, I'm not even upset or mad or whatever that 1917 got made. I'm sure it's great. That's outside the question at hand, which is where are the stories about non-white men's lives and why are they still not getting made? Well, the answer is you guys are complaining about it, but you're not making them. You know, she's like, I know the answers, but I want people. If you're asking the question, then you don't know the answer. The answer is go make it. If you know, go pitch it, go make it. Go. It's you're a filmmaker. You're a critic of this. You have connections. Go make these movies. These movies, a lot of them are probably good. Go for it. Go make them. You know, it's kind of it's kind of like this argument that environmental extremists are making. You know, like over in Britain right now, environmental extremists are all talking about, they're talking about carbon emissions and whatnot. Which, okay, great. Let's do something about that. The British government, okay, we're going to make a monorail. So we're going to make a train system that's going to reduce carbon emissions. Well, no, you can't do that. Why? Because of the trees. We don't want you to cut down the trees. Well, we gotta cut some of them down to make the freaking train. And like, no, you can't. They don't offer solutions. They don't want solutions. They just want power. They want you to kneel. They want you to bend the knee to them and give them the power to make the decisions. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It's like you're complaining and you're saying things need to be done, but when somebody does try to do something, you block the road. You know, and that's kind of like that mindset is something it's always been something foreign to me. I've never understood that. You know, complaining without offering solution is unacceptable. So, but then you've got people like what's the guy's name? Boren Slot, who's actually trying to do things. You know, that's the kind of activist you want. That's the kid that came up with the I think he was he 19 years old when he came up with that system of straining plastic out of seawater. He came up, yeah, like this young kid, like that's the kind of activist you want. Someone that actually goes out and takes action and provides solutions. You know, somebody who just gets in the way and blocks everything and says that because nothing's ever going to be good enough. Like, I mean, again, I hate that it's coming to this, but they just had that thing where Trump proposed that thing about planting a trillion trees. Yeah, it's a new thing. It was at that what's that summit called?
Oh, Davos.
Davos. It was at the Davos thing, and he proposed this thing, a program of planting 1 trillion trees. Which, okay, that's great. Sounds great. And then that Greta Thunberg girl comes on and says, "Well, that's not good enough." And I'm like, okay, then what's your solution? You know, and this is
she actually does have other stuff. That's not just like a one shot for her. Like, oh, that's not good. And quite frankly, him proposing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I understand I get the optics of it. Like I said, I'm not a Trump guy. You know, I don't have a problem with people that are, but that's not me. But the idea that somebody says, okay, well, we're going to plant 1 trillion trees, and then the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, well, that's not good enough. It's like, well, it's a start. I mean, it's something good. Is it not something good? Then let's go do that. You know, but then you also have the situation, like I said, with that train system that England's trying to put in, and they're blocking it. It's like this is them trying to take steps to do what you want, and then you're getting in the way. You know, it's kind of like can't see the forest for the trees. But and here's the thing, and like I said, I don't think that kid is a bad person. I think she's a good person. She's definitely got a lot of energy and But a lot of the stuff that comes out of this is inaccurate, and it's people getting in the way of themselves. But going after the people who made this movie because it's not what you want doesn't make any sense to me. It's the reason why this movie, and questioning why it got made because it's one of the most formative events in human history. It was the first World War. It's the first time everybody was fighting, and the horrible things that came out of it. So I don't understand this mindset. And Tom says nothing. I mean, what do you think? Am I being wrong on this? Am I wrong on this? I mean, give me your perspective, man.
Well, I mean, first there's the argument that that's not the First World War. I mean, and it certainly wasn't. It was certainly the first mechanized World War.
Well, okay, yeah, I get it.
A lot of people from a lot of different places were fighting pretty much simultaneously. I mean, a lot of the stuff with the French and the English and other colonial powers going to war with each other and literally fighting all over the world, except at that time the war could have already been over and you would still be fighting because it's going to take you 6 months to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah. Some countries, some countries have been in war with each other for thousands of years. But this was the first. You're right. This was the first modern war, and not only that, but this is the first time where like the people fighting it didn't realize the technological aspect of it.
Yeah, they didn't realize how new their weapons were and how outdated their tactics were.
Yeah, and they're
don't realize about this is, a lot of people are like, well, it was just fought in Europe. It wasn't just fought in Europe.
No,
because the European powers had colonies all over the place, so there was fighting in the colonies. China was in a really bad situation at that time because they were literally, I don't know if I want to use the word mostly, but a large percent of China was occupied by all the different European powers that were fighting the World War. So they were all ready to go at each other while China was trying to remain neutral and therefore keep them from fighting in China. So,
yeah,
it was. And then on top of that, one thing that very few other people talk about is the flu pandemic that happened at the time that killed so many more people than the war did, mostly due to propaganda and clamping down on the press and not letting them report, hey, don't be around other people for a couple of weeks because everybody's dying of the flu. And they're like, no, coming out to buy bonds.
Yeah, like people
go down into the factory and make more shells.
Yeah, it was a Spanish flu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, God, how many people was it that died from that? It was a ridiculous number.
Yeah, it was. I want to say
it was like 500 million people, wasn't it?
Oh, I think it was possibly more than that. It was. It was like a straight up chunk of the world population, like 1/6 or 1/8 or something like that. It was a huge chunk of people that died in those 2 years.
Yeah, because it started in, was it 1918? Was it 1917?
1917, and they're still not exactly sure where. They're not sure if it started in Canada or the U.S., but that's probably where.
Yeah, and I know that it was almost a million Americans died from that. It was like 700,000 or something like that. Yeah, it was like, holy crap. Like, this thing was bad. It was really bad. And that gives you an idea of how quickly and how damaging a pandemic can be if you don't educate people on it, and this whole idea of like not getting vaccinated and stuff like that. It's like, do you have an idea how quick that can kill people?
Well, not only that, but at the time, since it was wartime and America had just gotten involved, that the basically the Army took over the whole medical research, medical providing apparatus. And so they actually came up with a sort of vaccine that was far below 100%, but it was still helpful. And the Army got it, gave it to the troops, and kept the rest. And it's like, okay, civilian population, come up with your own.
Yeah.
It's like,
But,
it'll help.
Yeah. But anyway, like getting back on this subject with this woman's tweet here, like I don't know, maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong perspective. If somebody has a different perspective on this, let me hear it. I want to hear it. But getting mad at, but giving people crap because they keep making movies about this, and you want a particular kind of movie, then go make it. That's how that stuff happens.
And not only go make it, but like I said earlier, and I'm sure Hollywood backed me up on this. Go see it.
Yeah.
If you have something you're interested in and a movie comes out, I go, oh, well, when it comes out on video or when it comes out on streaming, I'll watch it. Go to the theater and see it.
Yeah.
That's the way movies get made. You gotta make money for them to want to put money into something. And even if it's, smaller movies where you got to go to a art house movie thing to go see it, make the time, go see it. First of all, it's just good to go see a movie. I mean, sitting around your house watching. Although that's something I did say about 1917 when I went to go see it. Remember, when you're in a movie theater, it's not your house.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. You and me. Yeah. We've had, I think every person's got horror stories, but
the guy, he was just like 5 seats down from me. And I was actually surprised at the number of people that were in there on a Monday night. But yeah, he was just a couple seats down from me, and he kept commenting on everything. And for the first half of the movie, his wife was kind of like, yeah, shh. It's like, oh, that's yeah, shh. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Shh.
Yeah, it's like God, I can't remember the name of the movie I went and saw, but the guy was talking. He was talking like it was in his living room, watching it on television. He's like, "Oh, honey, that's Costa Rica. Do you remember when we went there? We were just down there and I turned around and looked at it. I was like, will you shut the F up?" Yeah, I went off on him. This is one of the times. Remember how Jim used to talk about me going off on people? It's like you just feel me just tensing up next to him. It's just like, you're not in your house. You're not in your freaking living room. Shut the hell up, or keep your voice down. At the very least. Because I've commented on stuff in the movie, but you whisper. Because
I recently went to a dick with somebody that was doing that. I mean, something happened, and instead of going, okay, why are they doing this? They were like, what'd they do that for? Looked at me. He's like, why are they doing this? And I'm like,
I don't know you. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old fart curmudgeon, but this kind of anytime someone says something like this, I'm like, I just kind of do my eyes roll so hard you can hear them hit the top of my back of my head. So, but anyway, enough of this crap. Let's go on to something else. Comic book related, because this is a comic book channel. What? Okay. They really need to have a better thing. They need to put a thing in here where they let us queue up more than one
thing at a time, so you can just cycle through them.
Yeah. No, what? Wrong one again. All right, let me kill that.
Same one.
Ugh. I don't know. I see stuff like that, and I'm just like, just stop. Okay.
What do we got here?
So, the CW just had their big crossover between all their shows. It was a very horribly bastardized version of Crisis of Infinite Earths. And even though during the event viewership on their shows did go up a little bit, the second half of it, the viewership actually dropped, and the viewership on their shows, with the exception of, I believe, The Flash, has been on a constant downward spiral. It's because the CW shows aren't very good, to be completely honest. Like Flash, the first couple seasons was good. Arrow, the first couple seasons was good. Everything else has been crap, in my personal opinion. Black Lightning, the first season was decent, and then they all do this. The first season or two, the shows, with the exception of Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl, but the core shows, the first couple seasons are decent and good, and then they just start doing this. And then some shows like Batwoman come out and they instantly tank. But they did the big Crisis Infinite Earth storyline crossover, which was had a twofold purpose to it. One, it was meant to be an ending to Oliver Queen's Arrow, which they're talking about launching a new show with. I'm like, whatever, man. But it was also designed to take all these disparate worlds and combine them all into one, just like the original Crisis of Infinite Earths. One of the problems with their shows was that several of their shows took place on alternate worlds. That kind of fixed that problem. The problem is the version of Infinite Crisis that they did was dog shit. It was so bad, dude. It was I don't know who's in charge. I don't know how badly they have slashed the effects budgets for some of these shows, but I've seen cosplay that was better than a lot of the costumes and stuff that they were doing in this show. The Anti-Monitor looked comical. He looked like a bad toy. And stuff that they did, it was so badly. And the thing is this is the problem. And yes, I realize it sounds like an old man complaining. Crisis of Infinite Earths is a major, major, major storyline. It's a big piece of comic book history. And as I've said it before, and I'll say it again, if you're not going to do it right, if you're not going to give it its justice, don't do it. Just don't do it. And apparently, there's some concern about a lot of these shows because the ratings are not good. But the CW doesn't know how to deal with that. Instead of figuring out, like you would think, like, what are we doing wrong? What do we got to fix? What should we change here? They're like, no, we're just going to double down on this, and it's going to be even worse. And now they're talking about adapting the New 52, which is largely regarded as one of the worst ideas that DC has ever had. So basically,
if they're taking good ideas and screwing it up, they might be able to take a bad idea and screw it up by making it good.
it's almost like because Crisis of Infinite Earths didn't give them the giant boost in their ratings that they were hoping it was going to, that they're basically, okay, well, if you don't start watching, we're going to do this. it's like the actual lead up of the 52, the New 52, which was the 52 series, was actually halfway decent. It was halfway interesting, but it's what it culminated in that just absolutely soured everybody on. The New 52 was just awful. Was everything in it awful? No, of course it wasn't. But the overwhelming vast majority of the changes that came out of the New 52 and the things that they did with it, not fun, not good. So let's click in this a little bit. Greg, now this is a rumor. Now, it should be said that this is a rumor. Greg Berlanti is discussing adapting the 52 limited series as the next big Arrowverse event. Oy vey. So this is a from the Geekosity Facebook page. After the nostalgic spice and emotional highs of Crisis of Infinite Earths, there are discussions to bring 52 to the small screen for a potential CW crossover. For those not familiar with 52, it was a sprawling 52-issue 2006 weekly limited series co-written by Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, Mark Waid, and Greg Rucka. Ambitious in scope, it helped inspire a line-wide makeover of the DC universe a year later. As with Crisis, 52 will be tweaked for budgetary and continuity reasons. There you go. Having to fit with the current landscape of the television Arrowverse. Lex Luthor will be the primary focus, giving regular folks the... Yeah, anyway. Oh, here we go. This should please Booster. From what I've been told, Black Adam won't be allowed to appear because of his upcoming cinematic franchise, which is a major problem because a big part of that 52 storyline was Black Adam. But even as a 5-parter, there won't be sufficient time for a story arc. However, I have learned that they would like to add Booster Gold and the question in this adventure. Okay. First off,
Point one.
Contrary to what Booster would like me to say, and he's going to hate this, nobody likes Booster Gold. Booster Gold is at best a comedic character, and at worst, he's just annoying as hell.
But Deadpool did good.
Well, here's the thing. Booster could be and here's the thing. If in the hands of the right writer, Booster can be good. He can be cool. He can be interesting. Most of the time, though, he's just there to be a jerk off. His New 52 storyline was actually halfway decent. He's just not the kind of he's not the character you're going to hang your hat on to try to bring in ratings. You know, it's Booster freaking Gold. The Question is a really, really good character, and his story arc in that is a good story. But if you're going to hit that story right, that character has to be the main character, has to be the focus of what you're doing. So if you're going to do a mini series about The Question and his New 52 story arc, that's great. You drop him into a series like Supergirl or Heroes of Tomorrow, it's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible because that person now, the person who should be the focus is now part of the background. It's just not going to work. Again, Black Adam's storyline is huge. And I'm going to say something, man. I like John Cryer. I like John Cryer in a lot of the stuff that he does. I think he's a good actor. He's terrible as Lex Luthor. He's awful as Lex Luthor. And the way that they did that character in the Crisis crossover was stupid. It was so much of the stuff that would happen in that Crisis crossover was just dumb. And he literally, to give you an idea, he's got this book. It's like the Book of Destiny. And he's using it to kind of manipulate things because he's trying to kill every version of Superman that exists. At one point, to save himself from being destroyed, because there's a paragon of each of these worlds, he takes a freaking Sharpie and writes his name over top of Superman's in the book so that he becomes the paragon and Superman just disappears. Let's literally, he pulls out a Sharpie and he writes his name. That is the dumbest crap.
Yeah, I'm not even commenting on that.
This is the kind of writing that the CW is doing in these shows now. And I'm just like, that's why when I saw this, sorry about the sound there. When I saw this article, I'm like, they're threatening us. They're threatening us with the New 52. They're like, you think the last story sucked? No, this is going to suck. So you better start watching or we're going to do this. It's like the New 52 is just, it was so badly thought out. It was so badly. And this was, New 52 was Dan DiDio's baby. This is where he wanted to take all the heroes and make them edgier. He killed a bunch of them. He got rid of the original Wally West, which was a huge mistake. And it took Jeff Johns being given the reins, and they went to Jeff Johns and said, "You need to fix this. Save us, yeah, literally save us." And then he created Rebirth, which almost entirely reset all the stuff that happened from New 52. That's how badly New 52 ended up. So, I mean, I saw this and I'm like, are you guys trying? Are you trying to drive people away from your shows? That thing for budgetary and continuity reasons.
Which, once again, that is a statement that they make in everything. Anytime they're adapting a book or other media to a movie or a TV show, I completely understand it. However, best example of this is Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And not even the last season, because it's not even talking about that. I haven't seen it yet. When I find it in a bargain bin, I'll buy it. But just to have the complete set, and I have no idea when I'll make the time to watch it. But Battle of King's Landing, huge battle in the book. Not that big of a battle in the TV series, and they kind of hand-waved it with a couple of special effects and a small fight on the beach. Okay, I understand that. You don't have the money to do a full-scale medieval battle with chains across rivers and fleets and armies all fight. Not a problem. But when you take a character that is basically a third-tier character in the book that literally has one paragraph of backstory, and then they're in the story, and that goes to its conclusion. But then you make a TV show that you're cutting down on story and time and not including stuff because of the budget, and you make that character a major character. Doesn't need to be. There's no reason to have this as a major character. Make him a major character. Meanwhile, you're cutting other main characters out of the story because you don't have the time or the expense to do them. But you take this character, elevate them, give them half an episode for their backstory, and then you're like, well, yeah, we had to leave this other stuff out. That person deserves a goddamn paragraph, not half an episode. I mean, literally a 2-minute discussion is all the backstory that character needs, and then they're in the story, and then they're out of the story just like they were. You just didn't waste half an episode on that character when you could have actually been dealing with the actual story. So,
yeah,
Rob's wife, I'm talking to you.
Like I said, man, and this is the old fart comic book fan in me. If you can't do the story right, don't do it. Just don't. Because I'm looking at this and just looking at the things that they've done in the past. I know they're gonna chop this thing up and bastardize it so bad that you're just like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to see a watered down, crapped on version of what should be a great story. I don't want to see it. I'm hoping this is just a rumor. I hated the New 52. Like full disclosure, I absolutely hated it.
So Rob is getting his hate check for this one.
Well, I'm not getting paid. I'm doing pro bono work on this one. I don't like what the adaptation of Lex Luthor that they've done. I don't like New 52. I've never been a fan of New 52. And again, I don't want the shows to fail. I want to see good stuff. Nobody wants to see shows crash and burn from the subjects that you like. But you can't support something if it's just not done well, if it's not done right. So,
Although I also got to say, you said, John Cryer as Lex Luthor, which I'm still trying to picture in my mind and really can't. Still a better choice than the guy they have in the movies doing Lex Luthor.
oh God, yeah, Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude. You could pick a dude off the street and it'd be better than that. Oh crap! Actually, got a couple of people in there with some comments here. Pope Fire says F New 52. Yeah. I agree 100%. And then this is. Whoa. I'm don't. This is this. I probably just messed that up. 52 was okay. It was everything they did with 52 after. Yeah, see, that's the thing. The 52 series, the vast majority of it was actually pretty good. But the problem is the things that they've already said that they would have to omit, that immediately hamstrings it. Because that whole arc with Black Adam is a major part of the 52 miniseries. That was a huge part of it. And if that's gone, well, you've already cut yourself off at the knees. And then the things that they would have to insert and move things around. Just looking at the things that the CW has done with the crossovers that they've already done with the subject matter that they already have, it's going to be a freaking train wreck. I don't trust these people to produce something good. But yeah, the 52 series that led into the New 52 was actually pretty good. It's what they did with it after that just absolutely wrecked everything. Power says that's when I decided I dropped DC for years. Yeah, pretty much everybody did, which is why they had to go get Jeff Johns to come back and fix everything. But yeah, man, it's like after watching, I forced myself to watch Crisis, man. It was so bad. And I actually had a little bit of hope. I actually had a little bit of hope that they were going to do something good with I got this. Yeah. Go ahead and spam the chat. We're actually not going to be on for much longer here, so. But I would invite you in next time, kiddo. Just let me know. No, the problem with this is I don't trust them to do well with it because everything that all the stuff that they've tried to adapt before this has just been, it's just been terrible. It's been bad. So I'm hoping this is a rumor. But never put any hope in Dan DiDio. Yeah, I know, man. There's so many names I could throw out there for that, but okay. All right. We got some stuff we got to finish up here because we're running out of time. Let me go ahead and kill that. All right. I'm going to go first here. So I'm doing a comic book review today, guys. Let me make sure that I got the thing up here. Share. Let me make sure that you guys can all see it.
I can see Neo Tokyo now.
Nope. Remove that from the screen. Okay, stop sharing. Why are you not working? See display. I don't think it's going to work. Okay. Well, I'll just have to talk about it. All right. So I'm doing a review today for the comic book Die. It's from Image Comics. It's written by Kyron Gillen, artist from Stephanie Hans. Letterer is Clayton Cowles, and editor is Chrissy Williams. So Die is, the way I described it badly before was, it's what happens if you have Dungeons and Dragons meets Jumanji. It's a terrible description for it. I didn't do it justice. And Nate's like reading down my recommendation. I actually know. Thanks for stopping in, by the way, Nate. Appreciate it, brother. No, I knew about Die before. I just never got around to actually reading it until recently. But I knew about it. It was on my radar. But with all the stuff that I read and everything, I just didn't get a chance to get around to checking it out. But I'm glad I did, though, because it's actually a really, really cool book. So the basic story is the main character's name is Dominic, and he and his group of friends are gamers, typical gamers, playing Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of thing. And on Dominic and his friend Solomon share a birthday. And on his 16th birthday, Dominic wants to give him a special gift. So he presents the group with this game that he found. And the way he describes it is like it's Dungeons and Dragons for adults. So each of the individual characters, you have Dominic, who's the main character. He's also the narrator. You have Solomon, who's his best friend, and the guy who's running the game. You have Chuck, who's he's got the mentality of a frat boy. And he's kind of the a-hole of the group. You have Matthew, who's he's the smart guy. He's the guy who's he's the level-headed guy. Isabel, who's your typical she's the mean girl, like that movie Mean Girls. She's like the mean girl. And then you have Angela, who is Dominic's sister, and she's actually kind of just along for the ride in the beginning of this. So basically they get together on Dominic and Solomon's birthday to play this game, and each of them, for each of the different dice, the different die of the game, you have the D4, you have the D6, the D8. Each character gets a specific die, and each die represents a typical a specific type of character. You have Chuck, who is the fool, which basically means he's this reckless, guy that just like charge into everything, and he's like I said, he's like a frat boy, but he's got crazy luck. And he's called the fool. Then you have Matthew, who is called the grief, he has the D8, he's the grief knight. And this is a fighter who turns negative emotions into power. You have Isabel, who's the god binder. It's like a cleric who, instead of serving gods, basically makes deals with them, and they're almost like a barter system. Then you have Angela, who's the Neo. She's like this cyberpunk elven type thing, but there's a catch to it. And that's the other thing too. For each of these things that they do, there's a negative to all of them. Then you have Dominic, who's the dictator. Basically, it's kind of like the character Jesse Custer in Preacher. Whatever he says, he can make people do. He can make these things happen. But it's more than just the making people do things. He can say things that cause things around him to happen. So like he has almost like the word. And then you have Solomon, who is the master. And that comes into play later. So basically they start playing this game, and all of a sudden they disappear. The entire group disappears. And then 2 years later, they reappear in the middle of the road. This person almost hits them with their car. They reappear in the middle of the road 2 years later, and they're all kinds of messed up. But one of them is missing. Solomon is missing. And whenever anybody asks them what happened, all they can say is that we can't say. I can't say. So basically, whatever happened is so terrible, they can't even talk about it. So then the story goes forward. I believe it's 19 years later, and they've all kind of moved on with their lives. Some of them, better than others. And all of a sudden, when they kind of had this thing where they get together to he and his sister get together to talk about what happened, kind of commemorate it. Dominic gets a package, and inside is Solomon's bloody die. So this thing that they thought they had put behind them and everything has come back. Eventually, they have to take this to the others. The others get together, and they just trying to decide what to do. All of a sudden, this thing activates, and they get pulled back into this fantasy world that the game is based on. So when they get there, they actually take different forms. Dominic actually becomes a character. The character they take on the form of the characters that created. Dominic becomes a woman called Ash. It's still him, but the form is different. And it's when you find out that when they got sucked into this world, all these terrible things started to happen. This game is like a trap, and they get there and they just start freaking out because they're like, "Oh my God, the nightmare's happening again." The idea behind this book is that this is what Dungeons and Dragons would be like if Neil Gaiman wrote it. Like it's this dark, destructive thing where, like, you think about like anyway, if you ever played a tabletop role-playing game, is like you have like most of the time you just run through it like a murder hobo. You just start mowing down everything around you. But now this is like, what if happened if you got sucked into that world and what you did had consequences? And like I said, every one of these roles that they take on has a negative to it. There's something bad about it. And they get there and they are forced, basically, they're confronted by Solomon, who was the one that was left there. And I don't want to give too much of the story away because, but basically they get there, and as bad as things were when they were there the first time, now they're much, much worse. Things that they did, decisions that they did, you start to get through decisions that they did and actions that they took through the 2 years that they were there, and you realize that they made some really bad decisions and they did some really bad things. And
they did 19 years later, and
yeah, and now it's like that. It's like 19 years later, and all this stuff has been kind of marinating and waiting for them. So, and this world is just destructive as hell. So, if you're a fan of fantasy, if you're a fan of there's an anime style called isekai, I believe it's how it's pronounced, where it's basically transported to another world. If you're a fan of that, if you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, this is a really, the story, the art in this book is not bad, but the story is what really drives this book. And and Nate actually makes a good point. There's actually an RPG you could download that they made based off of this. You can download it off their website, which is something we might actually have to try one of these days, because the idea of this world is actually pretty cool. And I actually, for the game that I'm running on Thursdays, I actually stole something that happens in this story. I actually stole it out of this. So, because it was like, it's messed up. It's like, it's some Romero shit. But the characters are really cool. I like the fact that once they get there, they kind of start slipping back into those roles that they had, even though they don't really want to. They realize that if they don't do things the way that they're supposed to, if they don't play the game, they're not going to get home. And some of them actually have good lives back there and they want to get back. But then you also see like how each of them dealt with this world is completely different. Like one like Chuck is just Chuck. He just acts like he was all the time, which is he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't really care about anyone. And he's a dick. He's, that's kind of, but he's like that because if he doesn't act like that, if he doesn't just embrace not caring, he's not going to make it. He's not going to survive. So but it's a really, really cool, interesting story. I wish the thing would let me show you guys what it looks like so you can get an idea. Maybe I can get a picture. Let me see if I can find something real quick. Comic give you an idea of what the art style looks like. Nope. There we go. And yeah, here we go. So we'll at least give you an idea of what to expect here. And then real quick before I'm let's see, this, and again, I saw it. I'm really sorry if I'm butchering your name, dude. I said, sadly, I stopped reading comics after my brother. Oh, my brother passed away. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know if you're interested in picking comics up again or whatnot, but if this is the kind of subject matter you're into or everything, man, give it a look. It's actually pretty cool. Let me see here. And here we go. There we go. So that's kind of the idea of it's kind of this painted style. It's a little blocky in some places, but and that reddish kind of hue there that you see there, that kind of permeates through the book, at least in the first part. I've only read issues 1 through 5, which is the initial story arc, and I got to finish reading all the other ones. But as you can see, like when they get back into this world, they each take on one of these different personas, and the blonde woman in the black robe, that's actually Dominic. So they go there, and then one of the things that you find out through the story as they were there is the way that they, at least initially, the way that they acted there, they kind of acted like nothing they did there mattered. Like you would.
It's just a game. Yeah.
It's just a game, like you would in a game. But as time went on, they began to realize, oh, this is serious. This is bad. Like bad things happen. Like I said, one of the characters loses their freaking arm. So
how much XP for the shopkeeper?
Yeah, exactly. Like they go in with that mentality, it seems, and then as time went on, they began to realize that like this is bad. Like this is like these things have serious consequence. And like the one character who's like the Godbinder, her character, she, like I said, she's like the character, like the cleric who makes bargains with different gods. You see the negative impact of what happens to her. It's pretty hardcore. But yeah, this is a really cool book. Check it out, guys. Die. It's from Image Comics.
Sounds good.
I highly recommend it. I'll have to let you borrow my copy of it, Tom.
Yeah,
but
I'll definitely have to read that.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to you, sir. What do you got for us today?
Just a couple quick things, because last week was pretty slim pickings there at the store. Went to get my file, and it's like, but this is a good piece of nostalgia for me. It is the Tank Girl 30th anniversary, 1988 to 2018. The in color. God, I wish I could remember the name. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. But this is all the original Hewlett and Martin comics that were in. God, what's the name of the British? Deadline. There it is, right there.
I was gonna say, narrow it down, man.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the British Deadline, which I got a couple issues of that was kind of hard to get a hold of. But
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, the old Deadline comics, just a bunch of it. If you remember the original Tank Girl, if you ever read that, it's really chaotic. A bunch of just short little stories,
yeah.
Chaos is a very good word for it, until they started trying to do long-term stories that just kind of were, where are you going?
Yeah.
nice dream sequence you got going there.
I think most people, like their knowledge of Tank Girl comes from the movie.
Yeah, which I wish they could like do a better job with, like, and put Lori Petty in a time machine and bring her, because she was like perfect for Tank Girl.
Oh yeah.
I seriously have no idea who else could play her. They just needed better writing and stuff for the movie, but yeah.
Yeah,
but,
knowing Hollywood today, it'll be Kristen Stewart. She's pretty much box office poison right now, man. Which you know what, I kind of, on one hand, I kind of feel bad for her because it's like, you know, she just took a job, man. You know, Twilight was a piece of shit, but you know, but then she comes out, she says stupid crap, and I'm like, okay, it's whatever.
So there's that nice bit of nostalgia.
Yep.
And then the first arc for Pretty Violent came to an end. So
yeah, and that's
on the back. It will return this April.
Yeah, and that's you said it's kind of like I Hate Fairyland.
Yeah, if you liked, like Rob and I, if you liked I Hate Fairyland, the artwork is a lot more cartoony, but the story's a lot of fun, and it's one of those things where, you know, like, you can even tell by the gore on the cover here that it is pretty violent. The girl has superpowers and she punches people and people die because she has superpowers, but she's trying to get into I can't remember what it's called. But I believe her name is Gamma Ray, but she's trying to get into the superhero Justice League or whatever they call it in this. And of course she keeps screwing up because she's new at this, and yeah, your first reaction is to punch it till it stops moving, and usually only takes her one or two. And there's like one thing where she goes to save this kid and then realizes that the kid was the bad guy and the big monster that was attacking him was like their version of the Hulk. It's like, oh wait, you're a good guy, right? Oh crap. No, things like that. It's funny, it's entertaining, and you know, and she gets her like missions, and she gets, you know, to tag along with other people to learn the ropes, you know, and they're like, we're here to do the job, just do the job and go home, you know. And she's like, you know, brings up little moral dilemmas, but wait, what if this isn't actually? It's like, just do your job and go home. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, so it's crazy violent. So it's basically crazy violent, and she's just kind of ditzy.
Not quite so much ditzy as she doesn't understand what's going on, and she's getting used to her powers. And just in the first 6 issues, she's learned a lot about how the world runs and what it means to be she's starting to realize what it means to be a superhero. And there are villains that she hangs out with. So,
oh God! So like a bar they all hang out with or something?
Not quite, but yeah.
But real quick, I'm just gonna say If This Man because I don't want to break like tongue again. It says Tank Girl and the Rock Band Gorillas has the same creator and artist. Yeah, actually, I knew that. That's actually pretty cool. That's like I love the videos that Gorillas put out.
Yeah.
But all right, well, cool, man. And then he also said Joe Quesada is slowly killing Marvel and Danny Dio is slowly killing DC. Yeah, I mean, it's you hope that eventually they're going to get a rush of brains to the head and realize that they're screwing everything up. But and that's the thing, guys. You as much as we complain about this stuff, we all hope that they figure it out and they make the changes that need to be made. And we also have to give them credit when credit is due, and they do something right. Like the Immortal Hulk story. The first story arc for that book was fantastic. So don't get too jaded to the point where you just abandon everything completely. There's a lot of good comics out there, guys. Like I said, Die is a really good one. There's a lot of old closet, like I said, the story that we were talking about just now, I Hate Fairyland, freaking funny as hell.
Oh God, my God,
it's Scotty Young's art. Scotty Young's art is perfect for that. If you guys have ever seen any of what Scotty Young does, he does kind of this how would you even describe that art style, man? It's
Scotty Young does, I mean, normally he does like really beautiful art, but he does for I Hate Fairyland, it's very, very Nickelodeon, very cartoony,
but
very like kid art, but it is not for kids.
Yeah, it's like a Nickelodeon style art, but it's very it's almost edgy and almost in like a rough like Ren and Stimpy at their darkest. So
yeah, at their darkest, yeah.
But yeah, I Hate Fairyland was a great series, man. It was really funny. Definitely check that out if you get a chance. But yeah, it's
the Fly.
Yeah.
What the fuck was his name?
I can't remember, but he's funny as hell, dude. He's basically a really crappy version of Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah. The housefly.
But he's like a chain smoking, friggin' hard drinking. He just doesn't give a crap.
Yeah, he doesn't get it.
But
listen, kid, that's not the way. You gotta do this.
Yeah. That's the voice that was in my head. It's like, listen, kid, I don't know what you did. All right, just go ahead and kill him. I don't care. What do I know?
Why do I bother trying to stop you anymore? You're gonna kill him anyway. So
yeah. But
gotta give you, and the one where she went into the bar and was asking questions about, okay, where's this, and the bartender's like, I know you, I know who you are, I know what you did, and she's like, Larry, that was his name.
Larry, yeah.
Like, okay, Larry, give me my axe. Larry's like, hey, I can't blame you for trying, kid. You gave it a shot.
Yeah, but and the funny thing is like it take all those fairy tale tropes and stuff, and it just craps all over them. It was such a funny series, man. I was really sad when it ended, but the way it ended was awesome.
Yeah.
But you just gotta kind of look around, man. Go to channels like this, and go to channels like there's a lot of channels that you can go out there to look for comic book ideas for stuff, man. There's good stuff out there. You just gotta kind of look for it. But okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We actually ran over a little bit here. I gotta get ready for some other stuff. But thank you for being here, guys. Always hit like, subscribe, share this out. And more importantly, leave some comments in the comment section once this video goes up for review.
Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Suggestions.
Yep. Give us some suggestions. If there's comics you want us to look at, if there's stuff that you'd like us to take a review of.
If you want us to go on an hour-long tangent about something.
Yeah. But yeah, and we're gonna be starting. I've got a bunch of comics I gotta do. I've actually got an unboxing I gotta do.
Ooh, what'd you get?
Yeah. This is Art T Bear's Black and White.
Ooh.
I've been waiting for this, so I gotta do an unboxing for this bad boy. But yep. Thanks for being here, everybody. We will see you guys next week. I'm heading over to Chester's channel here in about 45 minutes to play Dungeons and Dragons. So if you want to watch some really bad players play Dungeons and Dragons, head on over to Chester Busby's channel. But thanks for being here, guys, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care. See you later.